Hey there, class. Faisal here, ENG4U with your class of the day. So, essay questions. You guys have been submitting them to me, and, well, let's see, 9 out of 22 people have given me a question thus far. Some of you are emailing me them too, so, maybe it's 11 out of 22. But nevertheless, I do want you guys to continue to send those to me. So please, if you haven't gotten your question confirmed, then do send them in soon. In terms of the questions I've been getting, a general thing I would say is, first of all, phrase it as a question, right? If you send in, a question that's like, well, my essay is going to be about racism. My response will be, what's the question, right? What are you going to ask, right? And so what we want to do is we want to actually have a actual question that you're going to answer here in the class. All right, so send those in, right? The sooner the better. There are now, 6 days left in the course, so you want to get started on this thing as soon as possible. The sooner you finish the essay, the sooner you finish the course, right? So that's the way it goes. The next reflection question, right, in terms of the last written small assignment, right, Othello Reflection 2, right, that is due tomorrow night, right, and it's the one about Othello actually being in love with Desdemona. And on that subject, let's get straight into Act 4 over here, right, which has a lot to say about Desdemona and also another character, Emilia. So I'm going to turn it over to the long-haired version of me. Let's get right down to business here. First of all, thank you to everyone who is sending in your questions and for asking for feedback. So far, I've gotten some good questions, right? But I think if you're still wanting for questions, right, you might have some ideas by the end of this video. So let's talk about this particular part. We're left off on Act 4, Scene 1, where we know that Iago has essentially convinced Othello because of his little stunt with Cassio, right? He's convinced Othello that Desdemona is cheating on him. So, that brings us to this guy who hasn't appeared before, called Lodovico. So Lodovico is two things, right? First of all, he's the emissary from the Duke, right? He is coming from Venice, and essentially he has a letter from the Duke for Othello to have, so he's a sort of messenger type guy. And second of all, he is Desdemona's cousin, right? So they're relatives with one another, right? So Desdemona's cousin here, Lodovico, has come to visit. Now, his letter is important, and I know many of you have chosen something concerning racism for your essay, right? So that's a good topic, and this might be something you could bring up in said essay. So Lodovico says, his letter says, maybe the letter moved him, for as I think they do to command him home, deputing Cassio in his government, right? So that's on page 151 of the PDF, right? Act 4, Scene 1, line 237 or so, right here. So, Othello is going home, and Cassio is going to be governor of the island, right? And that, by the way, is a very good job. You can make tons of money doing that, right? Because he's essentially gets to have his own island, right? So Cassio gets the island. So, how come Cassio is the governor rather than Othello, right? Why would that decision be made? So let's think about it. So the Duke doesn't know anything about Othello acting crazy about Desdemona and all that, right? The Duke is back in Venice. There's no way he could know about anything going on with Desdemona, right? So let's scratch that one out, right? And plus, the Duke himself has said that Othello is the best guy they have, right? He didn't pick Cassio to lead the army, he picked Othello. Okay, so Why not give Othello the island? Well, I hope you guys can figure it out. It seems to be about race, right? There's no real other explanation. This duke does not want the black man to be in charge of the island, right? That's sort of too much for the duke. So instead, he gives the job to Cassio, right? Othello's second in command, because Cassio is, of course, white, right? So those of you looking for material for your essays about racism, there you go, right? It's pretty straightforward right there. So, needless to say, this pisses Othello off. He doesn't like that one bit. And let's just take a look at line 238, just because we should understand Desdemona here, where Desdemona says, "Trust me, I am glad on it." And Othello says, "Indeed, my lord, I am glad to see you mad. Why, sweet Othello," and then Othello slaps her and says, "Devil." So, when she says, "Trust me, I am glad on it," right, she's not, saying, "Oh, I'm glad Othello didn't get the job." She's more like being polite is the way to say it, right? If you watch the Othello version with Lawrence Fishburne and Kenneth Branagh, right, the Desdemona in that one sort of says it like this: "Trust me, I am glad on it," right. So she's sort of being polite here, right? Which is what you're supposed to do, right? Just because Othello doesn't get a job doesn't mean you freak out, right? So she's being polite here, and Othello, of course, is slapping her, right? And he's doing that in front of Lodovico and everything like that. And it's not just because of what she said there, but because of rather what Iago has been telling him about Desdemona. Now, Lodovico's line there is important, right? On 244, "My lord, this would not be believed in Venice, though I should swear I saw it. 'Tis very much. Make her amends." She weeps. So Lodovico there is shocked. He can't believe this is happening. And, what this is doing, right, is Othello is now destroying his reputation, right? The reputation he had in the first act, right, where everyone thought he was great, everyone thought he was awesome, and he's sort of wrecking that reputation. So that is what is happening here, right? And Othello, we can see, is very much deteriorating, and Iago, right, is of course the puppet master behind the scenes, right? Once Othello leaves the room, right, Iago is whispering to Lodovico, "Yeah, he is much changed." And Lodovico says, "Are his wits safe? Is he not light of brain?" "He's that he is. I may not breathe my censure what he might be. If what he might he is not, I would to heaven he were. What, strike his wife? Faith, that was not so well. Yet would I knew that stroke would prove the worst." Right? So he is sort of doing what he did in Act 2 with Cassio, right? Where he provokes a conflict and then he's sort of saying, "Look at how awful this Othello guy is. He hits his wife. That's so awful," right? And so he's pouring on fuel to the fire, right? Because that's what he does. I'll have a little bit more to say about Iago at the end of this video. So that's all going to Iago's plan, and things are getting worse and worse. So, next we have a scene, Act 4, Scene 2, with Emilia, right? And I'm not going to talk too much about the actual lines, but rather point out what this tells us, right? So this is just Othello and Emilia together in a room, right? There is no one else in there. Desdemona's not there, Iago's not there, no one else is there. Just Othello and Emilia by themselves, right? And Othello is questioning her about Cassio, right? He says, "Yes, you have seen Cassio and she together." And Emilia says, "But then I saw no harm, and then I heard each syllable that breath made up between them. What, did they never whisper? Never, my lord, nor send you out of the way? Never? To fetch her fad, her gloves, her mask, nor nothing? Never, my lord. That's strange. I durst, my lord, to wager she is honest. I lay my soul at stake. If you think other, remove your thought. It doth abuse your bosom. If any wretch have put this in your head, let heaven requite it with the serpent's curse. For if she not be honest, chaste, and true, there's no man happy. The purest of their wives is foul as slander. Bid her come hither. Go. Emilia leaves, and now it's a soliloquy. She says enough, yet she's a simple bawd that cannot say as much. This is a subtle whore, a closet lock and key of villainous secrets, yet she'll kneel and pray. I have seen her do it, right? So, first let's just look at that thing. When he calls her a bawd, it's sort of like calling her a pimp, but that is to say that, she's friends with Desdemona, and she's like her pimp for that reason. Nevertheless, what they're talking about isn't as significant as what they're not talking about. So, you might remember, way back in the beginning, that Iago said that there was a rumor going around that his wife, Emilia, was having an affair with Othello, right? That he had done his office twixt his sheets, right? So there was that rumor going around that, Othello and Emilia had done something that they shouldn't have done. So, what this scene shows us pretty decisively is that those rumors weren't true, because there's no talk between them of ever having done anything like that, right? Emilia's not like, oh, you remember that time we did that? Desdemona's not like me, right? So there's no talk of that, and they're by themselves, right? Othello even has a little soliloquy there, and there's no evidence whatsoever, no indication whatsoever in this dialogue that they were having an affair. So, that means that Iago's anger and jealousy towards Othello is completely baseless. Othello has not slept with his wife. He just thinks he has, right? So it is completely just in Iago's head when he says, Othello did something with my wife, right? Because Othello and Emilia clearly don't have that kind of relationship. If they did, you would think they would sort of indicate it somehow in that dialogue, but it isn't, right? So for those of you writing an essay about Iago and why he's evil, this is probably pretty relevant to you, right? Because Iago, his jealousy and anger about it's all in here, right? There's no reality to back up Iago's jealousy. So it's just jealousy that is completely coming from his own head. It's no more real than the affair that Desdemona and Cassio are supposedly having happened to them. So, let's talk about Iago real fast. So, we've got two things we can think about here for Iago. So, the first is one we've talked about in the play before. It's that Iago is the devil, right? We've talked about how he sort of sneaks around, stabs people in the back, everything like that. But if you think about the goal of the devil in Christianity and all the Abrahamic religions, right? The devil's goal is essentially to create more devils, right? Make people do evil things so that they can be more like the devil, right? That's what we mean when we say devil tempting men or women into evil, right? The devil tempts in order to get the human beings to act more like the devil. So, it's interesting then that Iago is essentially just like that, right? He's jealous of his wife, right? And he wants Othello to be just like him, right? So he wants Othello to feel the same jealousy that he does, right? And it's interesting that, they're both of these men are not actually being cheated on, right? They're both it's all both in their head, right? But Iago essentially wants to make Othello into another Iago. The other way of looking at Iago, and I should have mentioned this yesterday, but this sort of plays into what we've been talking about, is that Iago is a playwright, or I should say like a writer, right? So think about the last scene where Othello was off to the side and Iago is with Cassio talking to him and saying, talking about Bianca and all of that stuff. So in that case, uh, let's think about this in terms of symbolism, right? Othello is sort of like the audience in a play, right? And Iago is presenting a story to him and trying to get him to believe something, right? Sort of like Shakespeare is trying to do in this play, right? So Iago is creating a story, and Othello is the audience, and Othello is trying to be sort of brought into the story and made to believe this stuff, right? So the other way of looking at Iago is that he is sort of analogous to Shakespeare himself. So if you're still looking for a topic for your essay, right? First of all, hurry up and pick one, right? We're running out of time. But what you want to do is try to investigate this business a little bit more. So then, let's leave them behind and let's shift on over to Desdemona and Emilia. So, we see in Act 4, Scene 3, and the end of Act 4, Scene 2, sort of Emilia and Desdemona sort of contrast with one another. Let's start with Desdemona, who is the simpler of the two. So we have a scene here in Act 4, Scene 2, where Othello is telling her off, right? He's yelling at her, accusing her of cheating and everything like that, freaking out, just like Iago wants him to. And Desdemona is responding to him, right? And she says, "By heaven, you do me wrong." Othello says, "Are you not a strumpet?" Right? Strumpet being another word for prostitute. And Desdemona says, "No, as I am a Christian. If to preserve this vessel for my lord from any other foul, unlawful touch, be not to be a strumpet, I am none. What, not a whore?" And Desdemona responds, "No, as I shall be saved." So, Desdemona has a very simple view of her marriage, which is that it is her holy duty as a Christian to be faithful to her husband. If she ever did otherwise, she would be damned to hell, so she would never do so, right? So hers is 100% religious viewpoint on marriage, right? So that's how she looks at this stuff. She could never have an affair with Cassio because, well, it would damn her soul, right? So she is a religious girl, and she looks at this issue through that lens, right? It's 100% religious viewpoint on marriage. And also, she also takes it a step further later on in Act 4, Scene 3, when she's talking to Emilia in private, where she says to Emilia on line 58, "Oh, these men, dost thou in conscience think, tell me, Emilia, that there be women do abuse their husbands in such gross kind?" Emilia says, "There be some such, no question." And Desdemona says, "Wouldst thou do such a deed for all the world? Why would you not you? No, by this heavenly light. Nor I, neither by this heavenly light. I might do it as well in the dark. Wouldst thou do such a deed for all the world?" So what Desdemona is saying here is that she doesn't think that she would do it herself, but also she doesn't think any woman, right, would actually cheat on their wives, on their husbands. Sorry. So she thinks no woman anywhere can cheat on their husband, right? So that is her perspective on the matter because it's such a horrible thing to do. So, again, Desdemona is incredibly devoted, right, to her husband, right? She's religious, and she's also a little naive, right? That word naive meaning kind of, doesn't know what's going on in the world. Emilia, however, I just read that little exchange there, is different, right? Because Emilia says that, yeah, there are women that would cheat on their husband if the price was high enough, right? And she gives this particular speech. Right? Let me just jump down a page. This is page 175, right? And by the way, right here is an essay where Desdemona says, I do not think there is any such woman, right? So he thinks no woman can do it. And Emilia says, yes, a dozen, and as many to the vantage as would store the world they played for. But I do think it is their husbands' fault if wives do fall. Say that they slack their duties and pour our treasures into foreign laps, or else break out in peevish jealousies, throwing restraint upon us, or say they strike us or scant our former having in despite. Why, we have galls, and though we have some grace, yet we have we some revenge. Let husbands know their wives have sense like them. They see and smell and have their palates for both for sweet and sour, as husbands have. What is it that they do when they change us for others? Is it sport? I think it is. And doth affection breed it? I think it doth. Is it frailty that thus errs? It is so too. And have not we affections desire for sport and frailty as men have? Then let them use us well. Else let them know the ills we do, their ills instruct us so. So, Emilia is different. Emilia doesn't see anything about a holy duty here, right? Emilia says that women cheat on their husbands because the husbands cheat on them, right? So that is her perspective on the matter, first of all, right? And she essentially says, women are men, and men are exactly the same in terms of their desires and their, wants, right? So therefore, they will also cheat. So Emilia here is expressing a perhaps a little bit more cynical view of marriage, right? So this is a much more cynical view of marriage, right? So that is one thing about this. And the other thing that Emilia is doing here is she is giving us a strong contrast to Desdemona, right? It's not all about religion for Emilia. It's not just about, oh, well, if you cheat, you'll go to hell, so therefore you can't do it, right? She sort of looks at it in a more, I guess you could say, worldly way, right? By the way, in case you didn't guess, right, Emilia is obviously older than Desdemona, right, and a lot more experienced, right? She isn't naive like Desdemona. Oh, and plus, she's married to Iago, right? So, she's married to the literal devil. So, you can maybe tell why she's a bit more cynical about marriage. So, if you still don't have an essay topic, right? You just don't know what you're doing for this whole essay stuff. Look at these two characters, right? Desdemona, religious, naive, all that. Emilia, cynical, experienced, all that, right? We've got these two characters, and, well, couldn't we sort of compare and contrast them? It's an idea. If you still don't have an idea for an essay, I think it writes itself, right? There you go. So, we're coming to the end of the play. In fact, tomorrow's video, we're going to talk about the end. So this thing is going to be wrapped up tomorrow. But before we go today, I want to talk a little bit about your essays. So, first of all, citation of Shakespeare. I found this very good PDF that explains it very well. So, when you cite Shakespeare you are not citing a page number. You are citing act, scene, and line, right? So if I were to quote this speech, right, you know, um, yet their wives have sense like them, they see and smell and have palates both for sweet and sour, right? Then it would be, it's down here, Act 4, Scene 3, line 94 to 96. In fact, here, let me go ahead and do that. So, if I take this quote and I want to quote it, here's how I do it. So, I have here in the play, Emilia tells Desdemona, let husbands know their wives have sense like them. They see and smell and have their palates both for sweet and sour. Then I put just Shakespeare, right? 4, 3, 94 to 96, right? So the 4 is the act, right? Act 4. The 3 is the scene, and the 84 to 86, or 94 to 96 is the line, right? So you count the lines just based on these numbers on the side, right? So that's how you're supposed to cite Shakespeare. For works cited, I should check that. For works cited, you just look at the front page, right? It's Othello, the Moor of Venice, right? This is literally a scanned copy of a book, right? So we would just cite it. Just follow the format as I talked about last time. And the copyright is there, right? EMC Corporation. It was published in St. Paul, right? So you can find that all there in order to cite that properly, right? No, you guys do it yourself. I'm not going to do it for you. All right. So all of the information about the citation and everything is found right there. Okay, so back to the present day here. So by Monday, you guys should be looking to finish the play, right? Honestly, hopefully at this point, a lot of you already have, right, finished the play, right? But by Monday, definitely, if you haven't already, get on it, read the rest of this play, right? So that is your priority there. Now, the seminar on Monday, right, is our final seminar, right? So it's the last one. And our main topic for that day is indeed going to be Emilia, right? Specifically, not just her contrast with Desdemona, which I talked about earlier, but also her role at the end of the play. Because what we're going to find is Emilia actually sort of saves the day at the end. Kind of, sort of. So we'll be discussing that, right? And our main question is sort of going to be, is Emilia a hero, right? That's going to be one of our main topics, but we'll also discuss Othello and his relationship with Desdemona, right? So we talked about that a little before, and we'll talk about it more now. And finally, Iago at the end, right? We'll talk about why Iago is the way he is at the end, right? So that's what's going on Monday. Now, at this point, right, I also hope that you guys have submitted your questions, and I know some of you hopefully are starting to get your research done about or not research, starting to write your essays, right? And what I am going to do after this video is I'm going to give you two things, right? I'm going to give you guys an essay written by one of my previous students in the class, right, about Othello, right? A very, shall we say, amusing essay, right? So I'm going to give you guys a link to that essay so you guys can take a look, right? And I'm going to post a second video that talks about that essay and sort of walks you through what you're supposed to do in terms of your structure, and also discuss why, certain essays get very, very high marks, right? Because this essay, which is a ridiculous essay, did get a very high grade. So I will post that below. So today's a 2-video day, and hopefully you guys will gain some benefit out of that. Until then, if you have any questions, come to the questions and answers session at 2 o'clock, and you can ask me about whatever you please. And of course, you can always send me emails. So I will see you guys next time.